Greetings! I present the Rekin Systems 3D production module. Trigger DSK. Today I'll show you an interface of a trigger function. There are two types of triggers in the application, a simple one that allows full-screen media display and an advanced one. The advanced mode has been prepared to allow you to program in an easy way a list of functions available in the application. After pressing a single button, the application performs one function after another. This episode will be dedicated to advanced triggers concerning the use of two streams of downstream key. With DSK, it is possible to display full-screen media containing transparency on the air that is on a program screen during broadcast. As an example, I will first display a graphic file from Text1 input buffer on a preview screen. I will reduce its size to 20%. Then I will place it in the upper right corner of the screen. Afterwards, I will rotate it by 5 degrees. With cut transition, I will introduce the image on the air to the program screen. The image will be displayed on the air for 5 seconds. After this time, it will go off the air to the preview screen and will be automatically excluded from DSK. All the operations will be performed automatically with the use of a trigger after pressing a single button. I open Menu, Options and Configuration. A configuration window opens with 10 trigger buttons. I choose F1 button. And from a list on the right, I choose Advanced option. An empty list appears to which we can add the application's functions one by one. I will choose DSK Set Preview function from the list. This is the first function whose task is to introduce a selected DSK to the preview section. I will use DSK1, so I select the first position from the available options on the right. I can test each function. I select a function on the list and press Test command button. When we look at the production module, there is a DSK section on the right with a button that lit up green. This means that DSK is active in the preview section with a default image from Text1. Now we would like to set an appropriate input buffer as a DSK source. We leave the Text1 source, but I will show you how to do it with the use of a function. I choose DSK Set Source function from the list. As a parameter, I set DSK1 on the right and I select Text1 option from a list available below. Now I will add a function that allows us to scale the DSK image. The file occupies an entire view space, so I want to reduce it to 20% of the screen resolution. I select DSK Set Scale function from the list. I choose DSK1 stream that we have been using. I enter a value of 20% in the control field below. Now I will place the scaled image in the upper right corner of the screen, creating a station logo. I select DSK Set Position function from the list. The selected stream parameter DSK1. Below X0, Y0 values represent the center of the screen. Positive X values increase from the center to the right. Positive Y values increase upwards. The center of the image moves in relation to the center and the edge of the screen. I enter a value of plus 75% to X control field and plus 75% to Y control field. Now I will add a function that will rotate the image by an angle of 5 degrees. I choose DSK Set Rotation from the list. In the parameters, I set DSK1 stream. And in Angle control field, I enter a value of 5 degrees to the right. Finally, I want to transfer our image from the preview to the program screen on the air. If we want to show the DSK immediately, let's use Cut function for it. I choose DSK Transition Cut function from the list. This function has no parameters to be set. Now I want to make the image appear on the program screen on the air for 5 seconds. From the list I choose a function delaying execution of the next function, general delay. We can specify time and number of video frames in the settings. After the specified time, I want to take the DSK off the program screen on the ER to the preview. DSK transition cut function has to be added again without settings parameters. Once the DSK is visible in the preview window, I can completely disable the DSK. At the end of the list, I will add a function called DSK set preview again. But this time I will leave Enable option unchecked, which means disable. I will discuss operation of the programmed trigger once again. I enable DSK1. I set the input buffer to text1. The image is reduced to 20% of its full size. I position the image in the upper right corner of the preview screen. I rotate it by an angle of 5 degrees. I introduce the image on the program screen on the ER using transition cut. I display it for 5 seconds. The image is transferred to the preview window. I completely disable DSK1. Now I will use F1 key to show you the effect of the programmed list of functions. All the settings parameters were executed immediately. In the program window you can see an image of the Rekin station logo. The DSK turns off after 5 seconds. Similarly, we can perform a smooth transition of DSK2 to the program screen on the ER. I open menu Options and Configuration. I select Transition Cut function and remove it from the list. I add DSK transition mix function. I move it to a position the previous function held. This time, as a parameter, I set a transition time of 3 seconds. DSK2 will be displayed on the program screen on the ER for 10 seconds. I will also remove a function that takes the DSK off the program screen to the preview. In its place, I will insert DSK transition mix again with the time of 3 seconds. I have already changed the remaining parameters to DSK2 earlier. I will now show you the triggers effect by pressing F1 key. In the upper right corner of the screen, a text to image gradually appears. After 10 seconds, the image smoothly reappears on the preview and the DSK2 turns off. After execution of each trigger, the DSK settings parameters are retained in the placement settings window, both for DSK1 and DSK2. We can control 2 DSKs simultaneously with a trigger. They can be combined together. Adding all the functions from scratch takes some time. So to facilitate the user's work, 2 keyboard shortcuts assigned to DSK1 and to DSK2 have been added to the application. I will show it on the example of F2 key. We have to choose the advanced mode for it. We press the DSK1 button located below the window. 4 functions have been automatically added to the list: setting the source, position, scale and rotation. All we need to do now is to modify the relevant parameters for each function according to our needs. Thank you.
Rekin. Keen on record.